a human guard and an alien princess, forced to share a room, a bed, and their secrets. Even from a distance, the station's complex spires and glowing energy conduits were impressive. Humans rarely came this far into Xyrath space, and he felt a mixture of pride and tension. This assignment was unlike anything he had experienced in his career with Earth's Interstellar Security Corps. Alex adjusted the strap of his sidearm, not because he expected trouble immediately, but because he always carried it. Humans had a reputation among alien species as resourceful, resilient, and occasionally unpredictable. That reputation was one of the few things that could earn him respect here. The docking bay was bustling with Xyrath personnel, their movements precise and fluid. Their tall, slender forms glided across the platform, eyes glowing faintly with the bioluminescence that marked their royalty and high-ranking officers. Alex felt a pang of isolation. Among these beings, he was undeniably human. Every step he took was heavier than theirs, and every movement seemed more deliberate, more rough. A uniformed officer approached, bowing slightly. "Captain Rayner, welcome to the Xyrath Royal Space Station. I am Officer Thalix. Your assignment has been briefed to the princess's aid. She awaits your presence." Alex nodded. "Understood, lead the way." The walk through the station was an experience in itself. Smooth walkways lit with soft, shifting colors, transparent tubes carrying personnel from one section to another, and the quiet hum of the station's energy fields surrounded him. Humans had built large ships and colonies, but nothing like this. A civilization so advanced and refined, yet alien in every sense. Finally, they reached the royal quarters. A pair of Xyrath guards stepped aside, revealing a large door adorned with flowing engravings that glimmered faintly in the station's light. Officer Thalix spoke. "Princess Lyra awaits inside. You will also be sharing the guest quarters with her during your stay." Alex froze slightly. "Sharing quarters?" Thalix nodded solemnly. "Yes, there is a shortage of available rooms, and it has been deemed acceptable for a trusted guard to stay with the princess. The arrangements have been approved by the Royal Council." Alex's mind raced. Sharing quarters with a member of royalty was one thing. Sharing a single room, including the sleeping area, was another entirely. He had trained to handle dangerous missions, hostile aliens, and interstellar negotiations. But this was something entirely unexpected. The door slid open, revealing a lavish room bathed in soft golden light. It was large by human standards, but the space for sleeping was clearly designed for a single occupant. A wide platform, covered in soft cushions and blankets, dominated one corner. Elegant furniture and intricate decorations lined the walls, and a large viewport offered a breathtaking view of the stars outside. And there she was, Princess Lyra. She was unlike any being Alex had ever seen. Her tall, slender form was covered in shimmering, scale-like patterns that reflected the room's light. Her eyes glowed with a deep blue luminescence, and her expression was both curious and cautious. "You must be Captain Rayner," she said, her voice smooth and melodic, yet carrying a subtle strength that commanded attention. Alex bowed slightly. "Yes, Princess, I am assigned as your personal guard." Lyra's eyes flicked to the sleeping area. "So you will be staying here with me?" Her tone was calm, but Alex could sense an underlying sharpness, a test, perhaps. "Yes, Princess," he said carefully. "I will respect your privacy and boundaries at all times." Lyra's lips curved slightly in what might have been a smile. "Good, I expect professionalism, but I must admit this is unusual." Alex glanced around the room. "I understand it is unusual, but I will do my duty." The princess studied him for a moment, then turned toward the large window. "The stars look different from here. Even after years of training, I never tire of the view." Alex followed her gaze. The station floated gracefully above a distant blue planet, its atmosphere glowing faintly. Stars dotted the sky like scattered jewels. "It's beautiful," he admitted. "I've traveled to many systems, but nothing compares to this." Lyra nodded. "Yes, the Empire has stretched across many worlds, but few humans have seen this view. Your people are adaptable. That is why the Council allowed a human guard." Alex felt a surge of pride. Humans were underestimated by many alien species. To be trusted with the safety of a royal airship confirmed his belief in human resourcefulness. "I will not disappoint you or the Council," he said firmly. Lyra's gaze softened slightly. "I hope not." I am Princess Lyra, heir to the Xyrath throne, and I will not treat you as a servant, Captain. We are equals in this space, at least for the duration of our stay. Alex raised an eyebrow. Equals in the room, you mean? The princess's lips twitched and she laughed softly. Perhaps, though I suspect this arrangement will test both of our patience. The first evening passed in quiet formality. Alex checked the room's security systems, ensuring no breaches were possible, while Lyra reviewed communications from the council. The tension was palpable. Both were aware of the unusual circumstances, yet both understood the importance of maintaining decorum. As the station lights dimmed to signal night, Lyra turned to Alex. The sleeping area, it is customary for a guard to remain nearby. You may sleep here on the platform. But I expect personal space, Captain, Alex nodded. Understood, I will remain discreet. They arranged the bedding so that there was some separation, a simple line of cushions between them. It was far from ideal, but it was the best they could manage. As the hours passed, the room became quiet, save for the soft hum of the station. Alex lay awake, listening to the subtle noises of the alien quarters. The way Lyra breathed, the faint shift of her body on the platform, it was a foreign rhythm to him, but not uncomfortable. Eventually, he allowed his mind to wander, thinking about the assignment ahead. This was more than just guarding a royal. It was an exercise in patience, diplomacy, and understanding a culture far removed from humanity. He had trained for combat, but not for this. Lyra, on her side, stared at the ceiling. She had known the council would assign a guard, perhaps even a human, but she had not expected to share quarters so closely. Yet there was something about Alex, something solid, dependable, and calm. She had seen soldiers before, but humans had a reputation for thinking differently, for improvising in ways that aliens could not. Perhaps this human would be more than a mere guard. As the night deepened, a sudden power fluctuation caused the lights to flicker. The station's hum shifted slightly. Both Alex and Lyra instinctively sat up, alert. Power surge, Alex said. Nothing major, but it could affect other systems. Lyra nodded. Yes, the engineers will handle it, but... She hesitated, glancing at him. It is unusual to be so close to someone of another species and yet feel cautious. Alex met her gaze. Caution is natural, but so is trust if it is earned. For a moment, silence reigned. Neither had expected conversation this deep at the first night, yet it felt necessary. Both were human in a sense, Alex literally, Lyra in her thoughts and emotions. They shared the universal weight of responsibility, of expectations placed upon them by others. Lyra finally spoke. You understand duty, Captain, I have duties too. But sometimes I wonder if anyone truly understands the pressure of being a princess. The council watches every action, every word. Alex nodded slowly. I know responsibility. On Earth, I have been entrusted with lives, missions where failure meant consequences far beyond my control. I can relate, even if our worlds are different. Lyra looked at him, eyes reflecting the starlight from the viewport. Perhaps that is why I do not feel entirely alone, despite the unusual situation. Alex allowed a small, respectful smile. Perhaps we will manage this arrangement better than expected. Together, we might even learn from each other. For the first time, the tension in the room softened. Both understood that the night ahead would be long, but neither felt unease as strongly as before. There was curiosity, respect, and the faintest hint of camaraderie forming. As sleep finally approached, Alex kept one hand near his sidearm, not out of fear of Lyra, but out of habit and vigilance. Lyra, on the other side, stared briefly at him before letting her eyelids close, trusting at least partially in the human beside her. The stars outside continued their silent watch, distant and eternal. Inside the room, two beings from different worlds prepared to navigate the challenges ahead, duty, responsibility, and the secrets they had yet to reveal. Tomorrow, their true test would begin. For now, the quiet of shared space, the weight of unspoken words, and the gentle rhythm of cautious trust marked the first night of an unexpected partnership. And in the vastness of space, two individuals, human and alien, began the slow journey from strangers to allies, one night, one conversation, and one secret at a time. The following morning, Captain Alex Rayner woke to a soft hum from the station. The glow of distant stars spilled through the viewport, reflecting faintly on the smooth, polished surfaces of the room. The human rose quietly, careful not to disturb Princess Lyra, who was still sleeping. Despite the previous night's tension, Alex felt a small measure of comfort. She seemed more approachable than he had expected. Perhaps sharing the room had already begun to shift the boundaries between them. Lyra awoke moments later, stretching with the grace of someone trained in precision and balance. Her luminescent eyes reflected the early light, and for a fleeting moment, Alex felt that same awe he had experienced when first seeing her. He quickly looked away, remembering the delicate line between professionalism and familiarity. "Good morning, Captain," Lyra said, her voice soft but carrying an edge of amusement. "I trust you slept well," Alex nodded. "As well as one can on a platform meant for a princess." He allowed a small smile, sensing that humor might ease the lingering tension. Lyra's lips curved in a brief smile. "Indeed, you are quite adaptable, Captain. Humans endure many challenges." Alex adjusted his uniform. "We adapt because we must. It is part of survival, but I imagine you do the same in your position every day." Lyra looked away, staring at the stars beyond the viewport. "Yes, but it is not always simple. Every choice I make is observed. Every word I speak is judged. The Council, the Empire, even my people, they all expect perfection." Alex listened quietly. There was an honesty in her words that he respected. It reminded him of his own experiences in the field, missions where every decision carried weight, where failure could cost lives. He understood that pressure well. "You are not alone in this," he said carefully. "Even if your duties are different from mine, I know what it is like to bear responsibility. Humans have their own ways of coping with it, and I have learned that relying on others can make a difference." Lyra's eyes turned to him, measuring his words. "Rely on others, yes. I suppose that is something I have struggled with." "Trust does not come easily in the palace, Captain. Everyone has agendas. Even allies can be dangerous if misjudged." Alex nodded. "Trust is earned, not given, and sometimes it comes from unexpected places." He glanced at the shared platform, then back to her. "Perhaps even from someone you initially underestimated." For a moment, Lyra said nothing. Then she gave a quiet chuckle, the sound soft but warm. "Perhaps I have underestimated you already. That is unusual for me." Their conversation continued as they prepared for the day. Breakfast was simple, prepared by automated kitchens in the room. The food was alien, flavored with spices and textures Alex had never encountered. He ate with cautious appreciation, while Lyra watched him curiously, occasionally commenting on the subtleties of her culture's cuisine. The morning passed with routine checks and briefings. Alex reviewed security protocols while Lyra received communications from the council and various advisors. Despite their different roles, they noticed a certain rhythm in their interaction, a balance of respect, attention, and mutual acknowledgement. When a minor power fluctuation occurred later in the day, the station briefly plunged into low ambient lighting. Panels flickered and warning chimes sounded softly. It was not dangerous, but it created a sense of unease. Lyra glanced at Alex. "We should remain together until the engineers restore normal systems. The corridors may be unsafe in low power." Alex nodded. "Agreed. Let's stay here for now and observe." They sat near the viewport, overlooking the stars. The temporary dimness gave the room an intimate, quieter atmosphere. The princess leaned slightly back, her posture relaxed but alert. Alex remained upright, but his eyes followed her movements carefully, not out of suspicion but vigilance. After a pause, Lyra spoke, her voice quieter than before. "Captain, I do not often speak about myself to others. I am expected to maintain a facade at all times, but with you there is something different. I feel I can share parts of myself without fear." Alex considered her words. This was rare, an alien, a royal confiding in a human. "You can," he said firmly. "I will listen without judgment. Humans are surprisingly good at understanding challenges that are difficult to explain." Lyra's eyes softened. "Then I will try. I have spent my life preparing for the throne, learning etiquette, diplomacy, and politics. But I fear that I am unprepared for the human unpredictability that may come from the outer worlds. What if I make a mistake? What if I fail my people?" Alex leaned back slightly, considering. "Princess, humans often face failure, but what sets us apart is our ability to learn, to adapt, and to keep moving forward. You can do the same. Perfection is not required, resilience is." Lyra regarded him carefully, as if measuring the weight of his words. "Resilience, yes, I like that. It is different from the ways the Council teaches me. There is merit in your approach, Captain." Encouraged by her openness, Alex shared a fragment of his own past. When I was a young officer, I was assigned to a mission on a hostile planet. The situation went wrong and we lost equipment. Some soldiers were injured. I carried the weight of that failure for months. But eventually, I learned that accepting responsibility, learning from mistakes, and trusting my team allowed me to succeed in ways I never imagined. Lyra listened intently, her glowing eyes reflecting understanding. It is comforting in a way to hear that even humans make mistakes. I always imagined your species as reckless, acting without consideration. Yet you think, analyze, and endure. Perhaps there is much we can learn from each other. A small smile crossed Alex's face. And perhaps humans can learn from your people as well. Strategy, foresight, discipline, qualities that humans sometimes overlook. Working together, we can combine our strengths. For the first time, the distance between them seemed smaller. Sharing the room, the platform, and now conversation, a subtle bond began to form. It was not romance, nor was it casual friendship. It was a cautious, growing trust, built on mutual understanding and respect. The station's lights gradually returned to full brightness as engineers stabilized the power systems. Lyra rose, moving with the elegance and precision of her kind, and walked toward her communications panel. The Council will be sending a diplomatic delegation later today. I must prepare, but Captain, thank you for listening. It is not easy for me to speak openly. Alex stood as well. I understand, and thank you for trusting me, Princess. I take my duty seriously, but I also take the trust you place in me seriously. The afternoon passed with more routine preparations for the diplomatic mission. Alex oversaw security arrangements while Lyra reviewed briefings and strategic reports. Despite the professional focus, their earlier conversation lingered in both their minds. They had shared more than words. They had begun to see each other as individuals beyond the roles assigned to them. When night fell again, they returned to their shared platform. The arrangement still felt awkward, but the earlier conversations had softened the tension. Both understood that the closeness was temporary, necessary, and unusual, but manageable. Lyra spoke quietly as she arranged her bedding. Captain, may I ask, what do you see when you look at me? Not as a princess, but as a person. Alex considered for a moment. I see someone strong, intelligent, and burdened by expectations. I see someone capable of making choices, even when the path is difficult. And I see someone willing to take a chance on trust, which is admirable. Lyra's eyes reflected a faint glow of emotion. That is unexpected. Most see only the title, the ceremonial duty. They do not look beyond the surface. I try to, Alex said simply. Titles can be misleading. Actions and decisions reveal true character. For a long while they remained silent, listening to the distant hum of the station and the soft flicker of lights outside. There was a calm in the shared quiet, a moment of peace that both had rarely experienced. Finally, Lyra broke the silence. Captain, perhaps this arrangement is not as terrible as I imagined. It may even be enlightening. Alex allowed himself a small, amused smile. Enlightening, yes, certainly unusual, but sometimes unusual circumstances reveal truths that cannot be learned otherwise. The night stretched on. The stars outside continued their endless watch, while inside, two beings, human and alien, sat together in quiet understanding. Words had been exchanged, truths partially revealed, and boundaries tested gently. Both knew the coming days would be challenging, filled with missions, politics, and unforeseen dangers. But for this first night, they had discovered something more, the beginnings of trust, camaraderie, and a shared sense of purpose. As sleep approached, Alex adjusted his position, careful not to intrude. Lyra's steady breathing indicated she had already drifted toward rest. Yet both remained aware of the unusual closeness, the unspoken acknowledgement that this night had changed something fundamental. The first step toward an unexpected partnership had been taken. And in the quiet of the stars, human and alien alike realized that perhaps, together, they could face not only the challenges ahead, but the secrets and burdens that each carried in their own way. The night faded slowly, bringing with it the promise of a new day. And with it, the story of a human guard and an alien princess, forced into close quarters, began to unfold, not merely through duty, but through the delicate threads of trust, understanding, and shared experience. The next day began with a flurry of activity on the Xyrath Royal Space Station. Princess Lyra had scheduled multiple briefings with the diplomatic delegation, and Captain Alex Rayner remained close, observing every corridor, every entrance and every interaction with a careful eye. He was trained to anticipate danger, and although the station appeared calm, he knew that appearances could be deceiving. Lyra, dressed in the flowing, ceremonial attire of her people, moved gracefully from one meeting room to another. Her glowing eyes scanned reports, data streams, and messages from the council. Alex noticed that despite her outward composure, there was a subtle tension in her movements. She was not only preparing for diplomacy, she was also calculating potential threats. "Captain," Lyra said softly as they walked through a quiet hallway, "you may find our meetings tedious, but they are necessary. Diplomacy can be more dangerous than open combat sometimes." Alex nodded. "I understand, Princess. In my experience, words and information can be as deadly as any weapon. I will remain alert as always." Lyra glanced at him, a faint smile on her lips. "Your people are unlike the others here. You see danger in places others overlook." Alex allowed a small grin. "That is part of the job, but it seems we both have our methods of observation, Princess." The calm of the day shattered abruptly when alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed, casting the corridors in an urgent glow. Alex's hand moved instinctively to his sidearm, while Lyra's eyes widened slightly, not with fear but with focus. "Security breach," the automated announcement echoed through the hallways. "Unknown personnel detected in restricted areas. All units respond immediately." Alex turned to Lyra. "We need to get to a safe location and assess the situation. Follow me." Lyra nodded, her mind already calculating the safest route. "The delegation is in the eastern wing. We should avoid drawing attention and use the service corridors. I know the layout." "Trust me," Alex followed, impressed by her knowledge. Her species' intelligence was renowned, but seeing it applied in real-time tactical thinking was remarkable. They moved quickly through the narrow service corridors, avoiding the panicked staff and automated patrols rushing to secure the station. "Do you know who is behind this?" Alex asked quietly. Lyra shook her head. "No, but it is deliberate. Someone wants to disrupt our mission, perhaps even target me. We must stay calm and precise." The corridors opened into a maintenance hub, dimly lit and filled with machinery that hummed and clanged softly. Alex scanned the area, noting exits, cover points, and potential hazards. Lyra moved to a control panel, her fingers tracing alien symbols as she accessed the station's internal schematics. "We need to isolate the intruders and secure the delegation," she said. "But I cannot do it alone. I need your expertise in combat and observation." Alex's jaw tightened. "Then we work together. I watch, you guide. Ready?" Lyra nodded. "Ready." Together, they moved with careful coordination. Lyra's knowledge of the station's layout allowed them to anticipate the intruder's path. Alex's human instincts, refined through years of military training, enabled them to move silently, using cover and shadows to remain unseen. They found the intruders attempting to access the delegation's chamber. The group was small, but heavily armed. Alex signaled to Lyra, who pressed a panel on the wall. A temporary security field blocked the intruders' approach. The humans and aliens froze, confused by the sudden barrier. "Now," Alex whispered. They moved swiftly, taking the intruders by surprise. Alex's precise movements disabled weapons without lethal force, while Lyra used her species, strength, and agility to subdue the others. It was a seamless display of cooperation, human ingenuity and alien skill working in perfect harmony. The intruders were restrained, and Alex and Lyra quickly secured the delegation. None were harmed, thanks to their quick thinking and coordinated actions. As they watched the captured intruders, Lyra allowed herself a brief exhale. "That was efficient," she said, her voice calm but tinged with relief. Alex glanced at her. "We made a good team. You know your station, I know strategy and combat. Together we covered what neither could do alone." Lyra's eyes softened slightly. "Yes, and yet I have underestimated humans before. You are more capable than I imagined, Captain." Alex shrugged modestly. "I could say the same about you, Princess. Your intelligence, agility, and ability to stay calm under pressure, I have rarely seen anyone like you." They moved back toward their shared quarters once the security teams arrived to take over the intruders. The station's alarms had quieted, but the tension lingered. As they entered the room, Lyra finally allowed herself to relax. She leaned back against the cushions of the sleeping platform. "It is strange," she said softly. "I have faced political pressures, training exercises, and even ceremonial duels. but nothing prepared me for working alongside someone like you, someone who sees what is hidden and acts without hesitation. Alex sat across from her. It's strange for me too. Humans often think in direct lines, but here with you, I've had to adapt, think differently. Consider angles I never would have imagined. Lyra nodded. Perhaps that is why this forced proximity is not as uncomfortable as I feared. We have learned from each other in ways I did not expect. Alex allowed himself a small smile. Sometimes crises reveal more than calm days ever could. We've seen what the other is capable of, and it's reassuring. For a while, they remained in silence, listening to the soft hum of the station's energy systems. The room felt smaller now, not because of its dimensions, but because of the intimacy of shared understanding. Both were aware of the unspoken connection forming between them, a partnership built not on titles, but on skill, trust, and respect. Lyra spoke again, quietly. Captain, may I ask you something personal? Alex tilted his head. Of course, Princess, if it is appropriate. She hesitated, her glowing eyes reflecting both curiosity and vulnerability. In your experience, have humans ever faced situations where failure could mean the end for others? How do you endure that pressure? Alex leaned back, considering. Often, we do not have time to think about failure. We focus on what must be done, and we rely on our training, our instincts, and our teammates. When consequences are heavy, it is not fear that drives us. It is responsibility. The weight of what could happen reminds us to act carefully, decisively, and without hesitation. Lyra nodded slowly. I see, that is similar to my training, though less rigid. We are taught to plan, to anticipate, to act with precision. But humans, you act, you adapt. Perhaps that is why I find your approach fascinating. Alex allowed a small chuckle. Fascinating is one way to put it. Sometimes it's terrifying too. They shared a quiet laugh, the tension between them easing. For the first time since sharing the room, they spoke not as guard and princess, but as two beings learning from one another, each recognizing strengths in the other. As night approached, they prepared for rest. The events of the day had forged a bond of mutual trust. Sleeping in the same platform was still awkward, but the shared experience of facing danger together had created a sense of security. Lyra settled on her side of the platform, her eyes reflecting both starlight and thought. Captain, today has shown me that humans can be trusted, even in ways the Council might not expect. You are reliable. Alex adjusted his position slightly, maintaining vigilance. And you, Princess, are more capable than anyone could imagine. I am honored to serve as your guard. For a long time, neither spoke. They listened to the distant hum of the station, the soft flicker of lights outside, and the quiet rhythm of trust forming between them. Finally, Lyra spoke softly, almost to herself. Perhaps this arrangement, though unusual, was meant to teach us more than protocol or duty. Perhaps it was meant to teach us about trust, cooperation, and understanding. Alex allowed himself a quiet nod. Perhaps, and if so, I think we are learning quickly. The night stretched on. Stars glittered beyond the viewport, endless and patient. Inside the room, human and alien rested near one another, not as adversaries, not as strangers, but as partners in an unspoken alliance. They had faced danger, acted together, and begun to reveal parts of themselves that few others had seen. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, diplomacy, strategy, and perhaps more threats. But for this night, the first cracks in the walls of formality had opened, allowing a new kind of connection to emerge. In the vastness of space, two beings from different worlds realized that cooperation, trust, and mutual respect could be their strongest weapons. And as sleep claimed them, they carried with them the knowledge that together they could face whatever the universe might send. The first true test of their partnership was over. And though the station returned to its usual calm, both Alex and Lyra knew that their journey together, forced by circumstance but strengthened by choice, was only beginning. The morning light of the Xyrith Royal Space Station bathed the royal quarters in soft, warm hues. Captain Alex Rayner awoke first, as usual, quietly adjusting his uniform and scanning the room. Princess Lyra was still asleep, her glowing eyes closed, her expression calm. The events of the previous days, the security breach, the cooperation, the trust forming between them, played through his mind. It amazed him how quickly their forced proximity had shifted from awkwardness to mutual understanding. Lyra stirred shortly after, stretching gracefully as her eyes slowly opened. She regarded Alex with a faint smile, one that conveyed quiet acknowledgement rather than formal courtesy. "Good morning, Captain," she said softly. "Good morning, Princess," Alex replied. "Sleep well." Lyra nodded. "Better than expected. It seems our arrangement grows, easier to bear with each passing day." She glanced at the shared platform where subtle separation still maintained privacy. "Though it remains unusual." Alex allowed a small grin. "Unusual is one way to describe it, but so far it seems effective." After a brief breakfast of alien dishes and nutrient supplements, Lyra called Alex to her side. "Captain, today will be challenging. The delegation will meet with the Council this afternoon. I must ensure both diplomacy and security are managed carefully. I require your counsel." Alex followed her to the room's communication panel, reviewing reports, projected schedules, and data about visiting dignitaries. He noticed her subtle hand movements, adjusting layouts and notes, highlighting her meticulous attention to detail. Humans could rely on instinct and improvisation, but Lyra relied on knowledge, strategy, and precise planning. Together, they created a balance, Alex providing insight into human reasoning, Lyra guiding with her species' advanced intellect. "This corridor layout," Alex pointed at the holographic display, "could be vulnerable if an intruder returns. The side passages offer concealment, but they also give access to critical areas. We may need additional security near the eastern wing." Lyra nodded, considering. "Agreed. We will deploy automated patrols there, and you will accompany me during the council meeting." "Not merely as a guard, but as an advisor." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Advisor? I am trained for security and combat, Princess. Diplomacy is less my domain." "You have perspective," Lyra said firmly. "Sometimes an outsider's viewpoint clarifies what insiders overlook." "I trust your judgment." Alex remained silent for a moment, feeling the weight of her words. It was rare for anyone, human or alien, to trust him so openly with insight and advice. He appreciated it, though it added pressure. The morning passed with careful preparation. Alex assisted with security checks, reviewed potential risks, and practiced contingency scenarios. Lyra studied cultural nuances, speech patterns, and potential negotiation tactics of the visiting delegation. Despite the formal preparation, moments of quiet conversation emerged between them, small personal exchanges that slowly revealed hidden layers of their characters. At one point, Lyra spoke softly. "Captain, you have remained remarkably composed through these unusual circumstances. Sharing quarters with me, facing a security breach. It is not something I expected from a human." Alex glanced at her, noting the sincerity in her tone. "Discipline, training, and experience. But more importantly, respect. I understand the importance of what you represent, Princess. It is not merely a matter of duty, it is a matter of trust." Lyra studied him, her glowing eyes reflecting curiosity and something more subtle, vulnerability. "Trust, yes. That is something I am learning to accept. Rarely do I place it in another being so quickly." Alex nodded slowly. "Trust is earned, Princess, and sometimes it is surprising where it can be found." By afternoon, the council chamber was prepared. Delegates from multiple Xyrith sectors had assembled, their forms glowing faintly with bioluminescence that indicated rank and influence. Alex and Lyra moved through the corridors with precision. The station was alive with whispers, anticipation, and subtle gestures of power. Inside the chamber, Lyra addressed the council, her voice calm yet commanding. "Honored members of the council, distinguished delegates, we gather to discuss the upcoming interstellar alliance. I bring both insight from my people and perspective from our human allies." Alex observed quietly from a corner, ensuring no threats could approach while also paying attention to the nuances of the conversation. Lyra spoke with confidence, presenting plans, acknowledging concerns, and highlighting solutions. Every gesture, every word carried precision and care. When a contentious point arose regarding resource allocation between sectors, a delegate voiced doubt sharply. Lyra responded calmly, using logic, empathy, and strategic reasoning. Alex noted how she balanced firmness with understanding, ensuring her position was clear without provoking unnecessary conflict. After hours of discussion, the meeting concluded successfully. The council had accepted several of Lyra's proposals, with minor adjustments suggested. Delegates left the chamber, some nodding in approval, others whispering assessments. Once the chamber cleared, Lyra turned to Alex. "Captain, I must thank you. Your presence allowed me to focus on diplomacy without worrying excessively about security. I could think more clearly knowing you were vigilant. Alex allowed himself a modest smile. It is my duty, Princess, and seeing your strategy succeed, it is satisfying in itself. Lyra's gaze lingered on him, reflective. There is something I wish to share, Captain. Something personal. Alex studied her carefully. I am listening, Princess. Lyra took a deep breath. I have spent my life hiding certain fears, the weight of expectation, the fear of failing my people, the constant scrutiny. It can be overwhelming. I have rarely shared these thoughts with anyone. Alex nodded slowly. I understand. Humans carry burdens too. Fear, responsibility, the lives of others depending on decisions we make. It is heavy, but speaking of it even briefly is a first step toward managing it. Lyra looked at him, her eyes softening. You are unusual, Captain, not merely because you are human, but because you see me as a person, not just a princess. That is because you are both, Alex said. A leader, yes, but also a person with hopes, fears, and thoughts that deserve acknowledgement. For a long moment, silence reigned. The soft hum of the station was a quiet backdrop. Sharing this truth in the privacy of their room, away from formal duties, away from watchful eyes, felt like a rare gift. Lyra's voice broke the silence. I am glad you are here, Captain, not merely as a guard, but as someone who understands. Perhaps this arrangement was not entirely undesirable after all. Alex allowed himself a small, amused smile. Perhaps it has certainly been educational. Evening approached. They prepared for rest, the shared platform still awkward in its intimacy, yet softened by the trust and understanding that had developed. Lyra adjusted her side of the bedding, glancing at Alex. Tomorrow brings new challenges, she said softly. Delegation travel, security sweeps, and perhaps surprises. Alex nodded. Then we face them together, Princess, as partners. Lyra's lips curved faintly in approval. Partners, yes, that is acceptable. They settled for the night, aware of the closeness but respectful of boundaries. The bond between human and alien had deepened, formed not only through duty and necessity but through shared experience, personal revelations, and mutual respect. As sleep claimed them, the stars beyond the viewport shimmered in quiet witness. Within the room, human and alien rested, two beings from different worlds, navigating challenges, trust, and understanding together. In the vastness of space, they had discovered something rare, companionship born of necessity but strengthened by choice. And with it, the knowledge that whatever the next day brought, they would face it as a united front. The night was peaceful, yet filled with quiet anticipation. Tomorrow, they would confront not only the practical challenges of diplomacy and security, but the deeper, more personal truths that bound them in ways neither had anticipated. And so, as darkness faded into soft starlight, the human guard and the alien princess prepared for the continuing journey of trust, cooperation, and the shared discovery of each other's strengths. The morning of the final day arrived quietly on the Xyrath Royal Space Station, but the calm was deceptive. Captain Alex Rayner sensed the tension in the air before Princess Lyra even appeared at the platform. She had prepared meticulously for the day, reviewing reports, schedules, and protocols, but her normally serene expression was touched with subtle concern. Captain, she said softly as she approached, her glowing eyes reflecting faint worry, today will be more challenging than anything we have faced so far. The visiting delegation will present an emergency scenario, an interstellar negotiation with high stakes. Any misstep could lead to serious consequences for both our people and yours. Alex nodded, checking his sidearm and scanning the room for potential hazards. I understand, Princess. We have faced threats before, but this is different. It requires both diplomacy and readiness. We will succeed if we remain alert and united. Lyra's lips curved slightly. Yes, I trust your judgment, and I trust that together we can navigate the challenges ahead. The corridors of the station buzzed with activity as security teams, diplomats, and aides prepared for the critical meeting. Alex moved beside Lyra, vigilant yet composed. He noticed subtle gestures from the staff, some curious, others wary of the human presence. Yet the princess seemed unbothered by the scrutiny, her focus entirely on the task at hand. As they entered the council chamber, the visiting delegation awaited. Representatives from multiple sectors, each with different customs, intentions, and motives, gathered in tension-filled silence. The air was heavy with anticipation. Alex positioned himself strategically, both as protector and observer, while Lyra took her place at the center of the chamber, her posture regal yet approachable. Honored members of the council and delegation, Lyra began, her voice steady and commanding, we are here to discuss the crisis that affects all our sectors. Unity, strategy, and cooperation are essential. Let us proceed with clarity, honesty, and mutual respect. The representatives immediately began discussing logistics, resources, and contingency plans. Disagreements arose quickly, some sharp, some subtle. Lyra listened carefully, weighing words, gestures, and underlying intentions. Alex, meanwhile, observed the assembly, noting body language, inconsistencies, and potential hidden agendas. An unexpected alarm interrupted the proceedings, a security breach on the docking bay. Alex's instincts surged. Princess, we have intruders attempting to access the docking bay. They may try to sabotage the station or interfere with the delegation's transport, he warned quietly. Lyra's eyes narrowed, glowing slightly brighter. Then we must act swiftly. You will handle security, and I will maintain negotiation focus while guiding decisions remotely. We cannot show panic to the council. Alex acknowledged the order. Understood. He moved toward the exit, scanning the corridors for potential threats. Lyra remained poised, her voice steady as she reassured delegates, diverting attention while relaying precise commands to security teams. At the docking bay, Alex encountered a small but highly skilled team of saboteurs. Their intent was clear. They sought to disrupt the alliance, possibly to create conflict between humans and Xyrath factions. Alex moved with calculated precision, disabling their equipment, neutralizing threats without lethal force whenever possible, and using his training to anticipate their movements. Lyra, monitoring the situation through station cameras, guided him. Left side corridor clear. Intruder approaching the central hatch. Do not engage until I signal. Alex followed her instructions flawlessly, combining human tactical expertise with Lyra's knowledge of the station. Within moments, the saboteurs were contained, their plans thwarted, and the docking bay secured. Returning to the chamber, Alex found Lyra composed, her voice calm as she summarized the crisis resolution for the delegation. The station is secure. Our combined efforts have prevented potential sabotage, and our discussions may proceed without further disruption. Delegates exchanged impressed glances. Alex noted their subtle acknowledgement of the humans' efficiency and Lyra's unflappable leadership. After the meeting, Lyra approached Alex privately, her expression reflecting both relief and gratitude. Captain, your actions were decisive and effective. I could not have managed without your presence. You have earned not only my trust but the respect of many here. Alex allowed himself a modest smile. It was a team effort, Princess. Your guidance made it possible. I only acted where your directions and instincts required intervention. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. You act with honor and clarity, Captain. That is rare. I am glad our fates brought us together, even under such unusual circumstances. They returned to their shared quarters. The room, which had once felt uncomfortable due to forced proximity, now felt like a space of partnership, understanding, and mutual respect. The platform, shared quietly over nights of reflection and conversation, symbolized not awkwardness but unity. Sitting across from each other, Lyra spoke gently. Captain, I wish to reveal something more personal. Our shared challenges have shown me that trust can be extended to those I once would not have considered. You have seen my fears, my strategies, my doubts, yet you continue to act with integrity and patience. Alex nodded. Princess, I have seen strength, intelligence, and wisdom in you, but I have also seen humanity, emotions, concerns, and fears. That is what makes your leadership real and effective. Lyra's voice softened. I have lived most of my life within the confines of expectation and duty. Few have seen the real me, yet now I can share it with you without fear. That is rare. Alex studied her for a moment, then spoke quietly. It is rare for anyone to allow trust and understanding so openly. But we have proven that collaboration, honesty, and respect can overcome even extraordinary circumstances. They shared a quiet silence, reflecting on the journey of the past days, the forced sharing of a room and a bed, the dangers they had faced together, and the truths they had revealed. Their bond had evolved from duty to trust, from caution to respect, and from mutual observation to true understanding. Lyra finally spoke, almost a whisper. Captain, I believe we have learned more than we ever could through protocol or ceremony. We have discovered what it means to rely on another being entirely, without hesitation, without doubt. Alex nodded slowly. And that reliance has created a partnership that can withstand any challenge. Humans and Xyrath alike can achieve more together than alone. Evening fell soft and quiet over the station. They prepared for rest, aware that the challenges of tomorrow would be different, yet confident in their partnership. The shared platform no longer felt uncomfortable. It was a symbol of trust, a place where two beings from vastly different worlds had found common ground. Lyra adjusted her side of the bedding and turned to Alex. Captain, tomorrow we may face new crises, new decisions. But I am no longer uncertain. Whatever comes, I know we will face it together. Alex allowed a small smile, feeling the weight of their journey and the strength of their bond. Together, Princess, always together. They settled for the night, the quiet hum of the station and the soft flicker of distant stars accompanying them. For the first time, sharing quarters and proximity did not feel like a burden. It felt like an alliance, a partnership, and a profound understanding between two beings who had faced danger, uncertainty, and the weight of responsibility. The stars outside shimmered endlessly, indifferent yet witness to the trust, courage, and mutual respect forged within the walls of the station. Human and alien alike had learned that strength was not merely in skill or rank, but in understanding, cooperation, and the courage to reveal oneself to another. As sleep claimed them, both Alex and Lyra carried a quiet certainty. Whatever the universe would bring, they were no longer strangers, no longer simply guard and princess. They were partners, bound by choice, respect, and shared experience. And in the endless expanse of space, they had discovered a rare and powerful truth. Unity, trust, and understanding could bridge worlds, species, and expectations, creating a force stronger than any weapon, more enduring than any protocol, and more profound than any distance. Between stars, their story, unexpected, challenging, and extraordinary, had reached a pinnacle. Together they had faced crises, shared secrets, and discovered the strength of cooperation. And though the station would continue its duties, the bond between human and alien remained, unbroken, enduring, and ready for whatever future awaited them. In the vast universe, two beings from different worlds had proven that trust, courage, and partnership could overcome challenges, forge understanding, and create bonds that transcended species, duty, and expectation. The human guard and the alien princess, once forced together by circumstance, now shared something far greater, a connection that neither distance nor duty could sever. The stars watched silently, the station hummed steadily, and within their shared room the human and the alien rested, united, understood, and ready to face the unknown together.